Buen dia. Hi, everyone. Welcome to this session on urban solutions and city visualization. I am Francis Pisani, and I am a journalist, and I will be the moderator. We have the honor and pleasure to have with us Christian Tordo, who is the deputy mayor of the city of Nice in southern France, and Lange, who is the managing director of Cisco Consulting Services, Mateu Crespí, who is a smart metering manager in Aqualogy, Sergio Álvarez, who is co-founder of CartoDB, and Manel Sanromà, who will arrive soon, and most of you may know him, certainly know him, Chief Information Officer at the Barcelona City Council. We plan to have 10 minutes per presentation, which should leave time for your questions, and we hope there will be many.
Good morning all, buen dias. I'm going to present what we do in Nice in terms of Internet of Things. I was there 3 weeks ago as a convention organized by Cisco. I am not a Cisco salesman. And I was amazed, first of all, by the attendance, and also by the mostly frequent question where, when, and how. And very modestly, I would say that we are trying to give you some of the answer on this question as far as the Nice experiment is concerned. It doesn't work. It should be soon.
You would like the slides?
Yeah, any... I have push, but it doesn't work. All right. Okay.
Welcome, Manel Sanromà, who is the Chief Information Officer of the city of Barcelona.
Okay, good.
Okay, now we have the presentation.
Okay, so first of all, the players, and as you would notice, is a combination of both public sector. I mean, I'm referring to the city of Nice and also what we call the metropolis, which is a larger area of Nice and over city community, and some operating public agency, SEMIAC, which is a company, mixed public-private company taking care of parking, as well as some large company like Cisco, and Dan is going to cover, and the consortium that we talked about, which is Think Global. So the story, I'm not going to elaborate too much on that aspect. Everybody is keen on that. First of all, rapid urbanization, and as I said previously, the booming emergence of Internet of Things with the expectation of 50 billion of things being connected by year 2020. So offering a lot of opportunities, obviously from business standpoint, but also from a city standpoint. A few words about this and how we have started the journey. You probably know the city is 300,000 people and 500,000 in the metropolis. We are located in the French Riviera. And we are going to the point, aspire to be a smart eco-city and the European model of Mediterranean green city. Why? Because we want to position the city in the innovation chain in order to be, as any other city, boosting in attractiveness for a company to join, but also for efficiency. I guess any city in the world, because of urbanization and budget constraint, will have to do more with less. And we believe that solution around Internet of Things will allow to do that. Obviously, not being underestimated the impact on the well-being of the citizen experience in terms of mobility, comfort, proximity, health, and also, and I think that is going to be covered in one of the following presentations, the growth, in particular by opening a new economic field development through open data policy. So how did we deploy this story around 4 elements? The smart mobility. I think you had already got a presentation on that. I'm not going to extend too much except to highlight the fact that, first of all, we want to take a systemic approach. By systemic, I mean not only addressing the parking aspect of finding slots for cars, but also linking that to traffic predictability and also to the public transportation offering, whether it's a kind of subway, but also, electric car, electric bike and green bike, and tomorrow, Zip car, which is the newcomer, so that we can offer to any citizen willing to travel around the city various solutions. Again, smart lighting, again, same type of approach, improving the experience, city experience for the citizen, as well as generating saving for the city and its budget. The smart waste, again, same, and the smart environment. Again, what I want to stress there, as you will see, is nothing very revolutionary compared to what you have seen, but again, insisting on, first of all, the closed loop experiment in terms of addressing the outcome of this experiment in terms of cost saving, in terms of improved experience for the citizens. So we have two checkpoint after installation, which was made in June. One is December, and one in June next year would be 1 year experimentation, so that we can really be sure that we are achieving what we want, so that we can go, and that's the second topic, to the next step, which is deployment all across the city, which will be for year 2014. So try to address the when. Now, Anne will try to tell you how we do that with Cisco and other players.
Thank you, Christian. We are often asked the question, what have been the key success factors of a project of that kind? And we have two responses. The first one is definitely the very, very strong support given by the city, which has allowed us to test in a real environment, in a real city, the Internet of Things for multiple public services. And we've had the opportunity to cover mobility, waste, environment, and street lighting, which are, we believe, really the next horizon for the smart city. The second asset was the capability we've had to create a strong ecosystem to transform the vision into a reality. And this ecosystem is interesting because it's a combination of a very large company. I guess most of you know Cisco, and Cisco has provided the infrastructure, a common infrastructure, allowing all those verticals to be run at an optimized cost and with the robustness which is needed for such projects. And a group of partners that you can visit here. They formed together the consortium called Think Global, and they have allowed us to have access to the right applications, the right verticals on mobility, on lighting, on environment and waste. And this ecosystem is made of very, agile but small companies like Urbiotica and Sud, which are literally startups, and other more large groups, Citelum and AG. So all together, we have managed to create this collaborative environment that has led to the solution. So the solution is a typical Internet of Things solution where, and I think this is the important message, whatever the application you deploy, you need to structure things always the same way. So in the street, in the urban space, you have a certain amount of objects. Those objects can be sensors. So typically in our case, the sensors provided by Urbiotica for managing parking, managing waste, etc. But those objects are also other furnitures, like the screens you can see in the city, typically the multimedia kiosk, which is providing information to Nice inhabitants and visitors. So the challenge is once you have those objects disseminated in the city, how do you connect them to create logical flow of information and a logical redistribution of the information to serve different applications. This is where Cisco has been partnering with Think Global for providing both the hardware and the software, creating this Internet of Things environment. And once you have this in place, the object and the infrastructure to canalize information and redistribute the information, it's become much more easy to create the apps on top of that. And in the project in Nice, we have started with mobility, with light waste environment, but the beauty of the model is that you can potentially add any kind of applications once you have this in place. And what we've been working on with our partners is this concept of the data apps. As you have the Apple apps, the Apple Store, is the home for any kind of apps that can be delivered on the Apple infrastructures. In our case, we are delivering the data store where, based on the Internet of Things architectures, you can develop any kind of applications, either applications provided by companies already well structured, or even applications coming from crowdsourcing and from individuals who may want to use it to provide citizens with interesting new projects. So in a nutshell, and that's the conclusion, we believe that we have leveraged the technological assets of the Internet of Things in this project, demonstrating that you can definitely connect an unlimited number of objects for delivering an unlimited number of applications. And we've been working hard with the city on the economic benefits and on the calculation of the return on investment. And it's quite obvious that with parking and light, you have two extremely strong return on investment model that allows the city to fund other public services whose business model may be not that strong, but could be funded by the other ones. So at the end of the day, I think this is a solution that makes the smart city available and also affordable for a city. And we wish to continue with Nice in bringing more projects, more applications, and for obviously the sake of the well-being in the city of Nice. Thank you.
Thank you. Mateu Crespí, Smart Metering Manager in Aqualogy.
Non, vous devez appuyer sur le...
Where?
Ah oui, non, c'est bon. It's your presentation?
Nope.
Escape, oui. Voilà.
Ok.
Bon, on va y arriver.
Où est-ce qu'on a le... Ah, voilà. Non, mais c'est pas celle-là.
Ah non, en bas, c'est celle-là.
Celle-là, ok. I'm happy to do the technical support.
Merci. Si. Good morning, everybody. Thank you for coming. I'm going to give you a bit of an idea of how we constructed the business case for smart metering in the water sector. First of all, let me introduce the project we used for that in Barcelona area. It was a smart metering pilot for 10,000 water meters customers, and we also included there 500 gas customers from another company, of course, not in the water sector, in the cities of Gaba Castelldefels, which is basically around the airport, just south of Barcelona city. The goals we decided to start with, first of all, the main goal was to define a business case to check if it makes sense from an economic point of view for such a project. Why a business case? Because even if If it's a private company who is deploying it as a concession, at the end we're dealing with money from the customer, from the citizen, and we think that even if it's money from the citizen, it must have a return on an investment. No? We cannot, and even more in this time of crisis, we cannot play with the money. We have to be sure that the money we invest, it has a clear return. So basically, we had 4 axes of analyze to prove the business case. First was that all the benefits that consultants were telling us that are behind smart metering are easily collect or are really collect, that they are captured in a whole way. Second point was to validate the real value of a long-range VHF radio solution. Why this solution? Because from our experience, it's the best one, if not the only one, that can have the best cost and prove the business case. Other solutions we tested had too complex or too high cost of operation and maintenance, and this one was the one selected for this business case analysis. Third point, to validate that one smart metering network, one fixed network collecting meters from 2 utilities, water and gas, was something that could work from a business model point of view. And fourth one, to really validate that the cost of operating, having a smart metering network, it's something that doesn't cost more than the benefit. No? At the end, it's the net value that we were interested in. 10,000 water customers can look small. For that, we used this project, but we also combined results from other projects we have in place. We're talking about more than 60 projects in 60 cities, affecting more than 150 customers already that are being operated in a remote, completely automatic way. Cities in Spain, we're talking about Tarragona, Alicante, Murcia, Cordoba, and others, and 10 countries. We included also countries like UK, Chile, Portugal, Indonesia. I mean, we tried to select countries that would give us a completely diverse input in terms of analyzing the business case. This is pretty much what I'm going to say about the project. Let's go for the results. Well, first point is benefits for the young company. At the end, our company is measured primarily in terms of performance of a network. They get network into the pipelines, into the network that provides the supply of water to the endpoints. Now with smart metering, we have every day a combination of the water we put in the network and the water that is registered, it's metered, it's supplied, and billed to the customers. It's most important for the manager is how this relation and what is the water that I'm not providing to the customer, but I'm getting into the network. No? This is called the performance, and basically they have many tools and many ways to analyze it. At the end, what we want to catch is my network having leaks in some pipeline, or which are the pipelines with the biggest leaks, so we can repair them, fix them, and avoid spilling and leaks. Which are the meters that have defects or are not registering water and billing the water properly. And of course, we have fraud. That was clear. Nobody knew how many frauds, but we have fraud, and they want to catch. At the end, the value of capturing the most of water that is not given, supplied, and billed to the customers is about analyzing data. Now with smart metering, we have plenty of data, hourly readings that allow us a complete and holistic approach. From the most basic, the bottom, alarms that say this meter has a leak, to the most complex, like saying this meter or this customer is either playing or fooling with the meter, or it has a drop in consumption, so maybe this meter has a defect. Let's go another result, fraud. Nobody expected to have fraud, but alas, we found it. How a fraud looks like. So this is a picture of daily consumption on a current customer. This is real data. This is a customer who was consuming 500 liters per day, basic, and then 3 days in a row, we see 67 cubic meters in the wrong way, going backwards. When we spot this in our system, what we did? Of course, we went to inspect in the field and to validate if the fraud had been produced. And we checked really that the meter had all the marks saying that it had been turned. Basically, the customer had played with the meter, had put it upside down, and was trying to get paid by the water he was consuming. Of course, after that, we were committed, and we sent a communication to the customer basically saying, we have all the data saying that you have committed a fraud. The fraud has been calculated in 67 cubic meters, and you're going to be billed for that. We caught you. You're going to pay for that. And also, let us remind you that what you did, fooling with metering and billing equipment, has a penalty, according to the law, according to regulation, between 1,500 and 3,000 euros. We expect this customer not to fool again with the meter. How many did we find? So far, we have found one fraud every 2,500 customers. So whoever says there's no fraud, my customers are very honest, we can say that nobody's sure about that. Leaks. How many customers have a leak at home? They pay for that water and they don't know about it. How a leak looks like when it comes. Because most of them we found were continuous. We didn't see when it started. But we have spotted several. This is a customer spending or using around 200 liters per day, and suddenly the daily consumption multiplies 30 times fold. Immediately when we see this, we launch a communication, an urgent letter saying, you have an excess of consumption. We think you have a leak or some undesired, unwished consumption. We recommend you to check your pipes. You close everything at home, and you see if the meter is running. If the meter is running and you have everything closed at home, you better call a plumber to check all the pipelines after the meter, because otherwise you will find a bill 30 times higher than your current. And this way we try also to prevent a claim. Sure, this customer, if we don't say anything, when he receives the bill, he will call us saying, I didn't consume that water, you are overbilling us. At the end, what we could see is that after some days, the customer went back to its normal behavior. How many leaks? From our experience, we have one leak every a bit more than 1,000 customers. So we have many leaks unattended, unknown many times. Business case. So basically what we see is, as a whole, as a community, we have a current consumption level, an overall consumption, aggregated consumption, and we think that with smart metering and all spotting these different points, we can lower that overall consumption, saving money for the whole community, in a way of talking. Which ones? Which are the areas? Well, first of all, customer leaks. Just making the customer aware of their consumption should allow the customer reduce their unwished consumption. At the end, it's reducing their bills, but also reducing the consumption of the whole community from using water from the river or from subterranean sources or from desalating water from the sea. Second point would be catching everybody that's robbing the community, because at the end, the water belongs to the community. All fraud detection, all meter defect correction, making sure that everybody who's using water, consuming water, gets billed, and catching all those meters that have defect. I mean, meters are mechanicals, and it's possible that they get broken. I mean, they are getting broken every day. Not all, but there's statistics on it. Correcting them in a more immediate way, sure, saves water and money for the community. And then all the technicians improving the performance on the network, reducing network leaks, reducing fraud directly from the network. I mean, any way that the technicians, by analyzing data, have to reduce the water that is spilled some way. So these theories, in a practical way, produce us that in most of cities, we see that we can reduce consumption, overall consumption, above, always above, most of times between 2 and 3, sometimes more than 3% of the water consumption. What we see is that a big deal of this equation comes from the citizen responsibility. So we see if the business case must hold, the challenge is how to empower the citizen. Just to finish the business case analysis, of course, if we find a solution, a smart metering solution that is its total cost of ownership, let's say in 10 years, it's below this 2%, we are in a positive business case. On top of that, the key point here is the value of water. Of course, the higher the value, the better the business case. If we don't start saving water now, we will be obliged to construct different ways to produce water, to desalate from the sea, or to reproduce or retreat water. That will make water more expensive and will make a better business case. So at the end, what we think is that in most of areas where sustainability or security of supply is key, there's a robust and positive business case. And just my last slide, for empowering the customer, which we've seen is key, we think there are 4 points to keep in mind. First, the world service must become like a bank, must be able to produce all data in the portal, making sure that the customer is completely informed and has all the information at reach. We must train, we must communicate, we must help the customer to get involved in that. The customer will not come by himself to the web portal to analyze. We must add the economic perspective. I mean, when we're talking about liters or cubic meters of water, nobody, or most of people don't know the economic value of that. If we add on top the value in terms of what's the money you're paying for a leak, then they will react much better. And 4 point is, every time more and more we see that people react not to the economic power behind or the saving, but rather to sustainability values. So then they say, am I green? Am I green enough? So we think that comparative analysis will help us saying, we don't know if you are green, but you are consuming more or less if you compare yourself with the rest of the community, the rest of the city, or your segment. A house with 4 people living in, it's consuming more or less than you. This comparative analysis will help the customer, the citizen, understand how sustainable, how green he is. And this is all. Thank you for your attention.
Thank you. Thank you, Mateu Crespí. Now, Sergio Álvarez, co-founder of CartoDB.
Yes. So, do I need to do something?
No tenemos la presentación.
Okay, here we go. Okay. Here we go. Yeah, perfect.
Gracias.
So, hello everybody. So I'm Sergio Álvarez. I'm the co-founder and lead designer at Vizzuality and CartoDB. I'm a developer, so that's the main reason I'm not wearing a jacket, in case you are wondering why. Oh. So, yeah. So I'm going to talk to you about our vision. So we found Vizzuality like 6 years ago. We have been working with really nice people. So we have been working with NASA, Google, UN agencies, universities around the world. And we have been working with people that, at the end of the day, they were really worried about data. And they were really worried about their vision, which basically was more or less the same, depending on the topic. But they all think in the same way we were thinking, that democratization of the use of data is one of the key points for right now. So, and the main reason that I truly believe is that because society is getting more analytical. So the model that someone decides and the other follow is being broken, is not lasting anymore. And the most important part is that we need to empower people to take better decisions. So it's part of the conclusions of the previous presentations. So I'm going to talk about data visualization and how data visualization can help people to take better decisions. So we found Vizzuality because we wanted people to make policy making based on data. That sounds very really common, and no one is worried about it. So we found 2 years ago we launched CartoDB, which basically is a platform for visualizing geospatial data and analyzing it in the web. And the interest is there. So we have more than 100 million map views during the last 9 months. during the last year, basically. And this is because Excel, this is not about Excel anymore. So Excel is a really beautiful tool for dealing with data. It's a tool that has democratized the access to the data, because all people in a big company is using Excel for different cases. But when visualizing geospatial data, which is the basic of understanding cities and understanding citizens, it's not as easy as it is. So I'm going to show you some maps created with the platform during the last years, months. So this is a map showing the commute data on the Long Island Railroad. So this is an animated map. This is something that we launched last week. And you can see how it changed during days. So this is created by a guy that is not a developer. So he is now able to create visualization and understand how the Long Island Railroad system works based on data. And he can get some stories. So this is a map created by Al Jazeera, trying to show where the 7 million displaced Syrians will fit in the United States. So this is showing 7 million displaced Syrians in the area of New York. But if you go to, for example, Ciudad Juárez, this is the area that it will change. So it's much, much bigger. And it's another way to understand data that is behind this. So this is a map created for trying to relate the San Francisco hills with the crime data there. This is created by some developers on a hackathon. This is another map created for understanding the relationships between the vacant buildings on Baltimore with the homicides and shootings there. Obviously, we have a relation there. This is a visualization that we developed last year for the Mobile World Congress that it takes place here in Barcelona. So it's on the map on the left, you can see the week before the Mobile World Congress. On the map on the right, you can see the week of the Mobile World Congress. So this is transaction data from a real bank. This is from BBVA, which is the second largest bank in Spain. So we tried to analyze if the activity, the economic impact was real. So this is also an animated map. This is during morning. This is 9 in the morning. So people is having breakfast in the center and so on, not very much. But at noon, boom, we have a lot of people spending a lot of money in the city of Barcelona. So the only conclusion we had at the end of the day, it took like 2 days to do this. It's like during night, the blue bubbles are the locals, the pink bubbles are the visitors. During night, during the Mobile World Congress, there are a lot of deals being closed in the Barceloneta and the Olympic area. So, yeah. Another example, this is an urban forest visual map, which is created for Melbourne. You can see every single tree on the city of Melbourne and the actual status of the trees. So you can see which areas are getting kind of deforested. This is a Manhattan Henge. I don't know if you know about Manhattan Henge, but basically in New York there is a day when the sun aligns with the street grid, and it's beautiful because you can see like the sun going perfectly aligned with the big streets. So we basically believed that there should be a Manhattan Henge each day of the year. So we calculate the position of the sun, and we alienate with the streets to calculate where should we go if we want to have Manhattan Henge every single day of the year. So, but I'm going to talk about a bigger application, about creating impact. I think empowering people at the end of the day is about creating impact, about telling something beautiful and changing the world. So this is one of the projects we are working on right now. Is we are trying to detect deforestation in real time worldwide, which is a huge challenge, I have to say. So this is a project in collaboration with Google and the World Resistance Institute. And basically what we are doing, we are analyzing satellite imagery and trying to measure the changes on the color on each pixel on the wall and how it changes over time. So relating the change on the colors with the geographic area, you can see and you can analyze the data in a way that you can detect deforestation alerts. So the best thing of this project is after creating this deforestation layer, which is being updated, it's 15 days right now, we created a visualization tool and start playing with it. And we actually found 2 stories. There are more, but I'm going to tell you like a couple of stories that we find. So this is Amazonas, and this is deforestation in Amazonas. Basically, the tool we developed allows you to drag this timeline on the bottom, so you can see how how deforestation changed over time. So this is Amazonas, and this is how it's been deforested in the last 6 years, which is pretty sad, I have to say. But you can see that there is a pattern on the deforestation, and If you put the protected areas data over it, you can see that protected areas in some parts of the world are actually helping deforestation, helping to stop deforestation. Not in all cases, but that's another discussion. So this is my favorite story in that project. This is an area on Malaysia. So if you drag and drop the timeline, you can see how deforestation is really, really fast on this area. It has a really weird shape, and you see it, like following a river. So after doing this for a while, because it's pretty hypnotic, I have to say, we removed the deforestation layer, we changed the imagery on the base map, and we found a white dot on the satellite imagery. So basically, this is called the Bakum Dam. It's one of the biggest fraud and corruption cases in Malaysia. This is a dam that was constructed in a really bad conditions and was, the whole area was overflowed, and it provoked like 7,000 people had to move from there, 7,000 indigenous people, because the same, an area that was the same size of the surface of Singapore was deforested because of this dam. So that's it. It's about empowering people. So I think if we can take better decisions and we can follow our own decisions, we will become better citizens, and then we will have better cities. I have 1 minute left, and I wanted to say something. So on every single talk about big data, data visualization, smart cities, wherever, there will be a lot of people saying that data is the new oil. And I really want to change that point. I don't think data should be the new oil. I think we need to create a culture over data if we want to avoid the same things we are having with the oil. It basically are really big conflicts between countries, a lot of people being affected by that, and basically we are destroying the planet because of that. So I think it's all. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Sergio. Manel Sanromà, Chief Information Officer of the City of Barcelona.
Well, good morning. After seeing, I would like Sergio to take my 10 minutes. It's more interesting than what I'm going to tell you. After seeing him, I see, first of all, that as the old rock and roll song, I'm too old to smart cities, but too young to die. But in any case, I'm proud to see that young people are coming to this world of cities. Although have you seen? I've seen one thing. These smart people, these wonderful young people, have been working with NASA, with Google, with UN agencies, with banks, with the city of New York a little bit, but not much with cities. We're doing something wrong in cities. We must provide them with food, also with contracts, of course, so that they can make a living out of it. But we are doing something wrong. Well, I'm also doing something wrong because I don't have my presentation ready. But in any case, oh, okay, good. Yes. Having said that, yes, thank you. I want to talk to you just 5 minutes about what we are doing in Barcelona. Enough of pilots. We are tired with pilots. We don't want more pilots. Okay, that's been okay. It's been fun. But it's time to go to real business, to go to projects that have impact in the city, and to not leave the experiment. Of course, experimentation is good, but we think that we have been experimented a lot, and now it's time for business. What we did in the last 2 years is, what we are trying to do is breaking silos. I always say that we are professional silos breakers. We have broken the inner silo. Well, we haven't succeeded yet. As you well know, in any organization, the most dangerous fire is the friendly fire. Outside of your organization, you have your competitor, the competition, you have your antagonist, but the enemies are inside your organization. So we have tried to break these silos of the old cities, departments with urban planning, city services, ICT. We have tried to put all the departments that are important for the development of an intelligent city, of a city that applies technology in a smart way, inside one big department that we call urban department, urban habitat, sorry. But we believe that there is a last silo that we must break. The last silo that we must break are cities themselves. Every city tries to solve its problems without looking at other cities. And every company is trying to sell to cities, not every company. There are companies that are understanding that there is business in trying to break these silos of cities and try to make projects together with many cities, not with one city, and then go and look at and show the world how smart you are and how wonderful is your city. We want to be smart, but we want to be a class of smart cities. So we have launched this idea of the city protocol. I don't have much time to go into details. Yesterday we had a session, and I see here many people that is involved in this movement of getting cities, industry and academia together to break these silos of every city doing its own business and not realizing that cities are like people, all different. Here we have young, old people, different cultures, different races. But I bet that if we have a headache, the same pill goes well for most of us. So we share anatomy, we share physiology, we share metabolism. Cities share the same anatomy, cities share the same metabolism, cities share the same problems, and there are not many different solutions to the same problems. And then locally we have tried to define an architecture that is good for us, but it can also be good for in any other city. I will not go into details, but we are working on what we call the city operating systems. We in Barcelona believe, and I say this very, openly, we believe that in the near future there will be city operating systems. Probably not one. As you are using 2, 3, 4, 5 different operating systems, but not, how many people is here? 100 people? Not 100 different operating systems. You are using Android, you are using iOS, you are using Microsoft 8, Microsoft Windows 5 or 6. We badly need an operating system for the cities, because otherwise it's vertical platforms. Every company in the world will tell you, people from the cities, that they have the solutions. I see here a very young and very elegant lady that yesterday told me, everybody is talking about standards. And I told her, yes, but there are no standards. That's the bad news. The good news is that we can build them, but that's the city protocol. What we are doing in Barcelona is trying to define an architecture that is good for us, but is good also for any other city. Probably not for any city, but for many cities. This is what this idea of the city operating systems, which is in the heart, must be in the heart, as an operating system is the heart of a complex system like a computer. An operating system must be in the heart of a complex system as a city, with many data coming in and out, with many different gadgets from different companies that don't talk to each other. They should talk to each other. The way they should talk to each other is through an operating system that takes care of platforms, of sensors, of control centers, that on top of it you can build applications. Building applications on top of nothing is losing your time. Applications are built on top of iOS, Android, Windows, whatever. We need an operating system. We are working on that with companies. And we are working on things that we want to put in the open. We are working on a sensor platform. I will tell you in a minute, in the last minute about it. We are talking on this operating system. We are working in an open platform to share with citizens and companies not only data, but also public infrastructures. if they are paid by citizens' taxes, they should be available to entrepreneurs, to citizens. And finally, also with not a big control room where a city looks like NASA, but a situation room where you can have the control room in your pocket, and which is replicable, of course. And we have many projects that are already using this philosophy. And in particular, and with this I will end, and I hope I will leave 1 minute more for discussion, much more interesting than what I can tell you. We have a sensor platform that is open. We call it Centilo. Centilo is the word for sensor in Esperanto. We found that it was cute, but anyway, I mean, call it whatever you like. But we call it Centilo. It can be used by anybody. It's starting. We hope to develop an open community around it so that any city can use this platform in the open. So we don't only talk about collaboration. We believe in collaboration. We in Barcelona want to be the smartest in the class, but first of all, we have to build a class. As you know, we compete very well, and our teams in soccer compete very well. But if there is no league, there is no competition. If we didn't have Real Madrid to beat or Arsenal to beat, there would be no fun. We have to help Real Madrid, Arsenal, Manchester, Dubai Football Club to build a league where we can compete and win. But first, we have to build a league. Thank you very much.
So now we are going to give the mic to the floor. So any question from the room is welcome. We have a little bit over 10 minutes. So please come on, question to this beautiful panel. The mic is there. There may be another. There is at least one.
No question.
It's not lunchtime yet. No. I mean, for some of you, but not for people. So I have a question for Sergio and for Mateu, more than to others, but it applies to everyone. I've interviewed a guy in New York whose name is Daniel Latorre, who has worked extensively with maps, and crowd-funded maps, and his conclusion impressed me. He told me that if you want people to participate, which is the issue of empowerment, you need to use satellite view and not the traditional map. So my question is, are you sure that your abstract maps are really empowering people, the people we want to empower at least?
Yeah.
You're sure?
Can you hear me? Yes?
Yeah.
So yeah, actually Dani Latorre it was a friend of mine before you told me this, but yeah. So yeah.
Now it's no longer a friend of you.
It's no longer a friend of me. So yeah, yeah, totally. I mean, there is no point of visualizing cartography if you are going to visualize, for example, the forestation data in another way, in a different way. So I think the base layer of the cartography is really good to have because it gives context, and context is, I mean, visualization is about getting context, but it depends on the particular use case. So the thing with the satellite imagery is that people think that is very important, and it's actually very important because it's really hard to build. So we can found a startup for visualizing data over maps, but if you want to create a map of the whole Earth, you will have to spend much money. So yeah, but yeah, I think that yes.
Manel, you wanted to say something?
I have a comment on that. Yes, we are starting. Of course, this is not really R&D, but we are starting to explore the possibilities of nano and micro satellites for cities. Satellites up till now has been something that has been typically for big corporations or states, if not because they cost on the order of hundreds of millions of dollars, and cities don't have that much to invest. And they look at the Earth. But with nanosatellites, and nanosatellites are things like this that are put into orbit. And there is a whole deployment of experimentation with nanosatellites. In the future, believe it or not, you could have nanosatellites that could go, and they cost on the order of $1 or $2 million, and Barcelona could spend that much. But wait a minute, because you need many. And these nanosatellites passing over you, they pass very rapidly. So most of the time they are not on top of your city. But if many cities afforded many satellites, Paris one, London another one, Johannesburg another one, we could build, it's not science fiction, it may be reality in 4 or 5 years.
2 years.
3? Okay, 3. Bio. We could build a whole fleet of nanosatellites that work it just for cities. Just for cities, not for I mean, I'm very worried about forests, I'm very worried about the sea, but my business is cities. And these nanosatellites could also help other cities that cannot afford a satellite for their own, because they are passing all over Dar es Salaam, they are passing over Timbuktu, so satellites for cities now may seem to
What
think
about
that
drones? What about drones?
drones. Yes, that's another possibility. That's another possibility that we should explore too. But we don't have time enough for so many things.
Questions? We are very patient. We have time. I'm sure.
Question for the city of Barcelona. I was curious to hear from you, what are the services of the smart city that you see as the most promising and the most valuable for the city? Because the smart city concept is very large, very wide. So what does primarily matter for a city like yours?
Yeah, 2 points about that. Yes, sometimes some companies, not Cisco, but some companies tell us, you should be, tell us, and I'm sure other cities, you should specialize in one thing. You should be good at one thing. We don't believe that. It's like if I tell to my kids, you should be good at math. They will concentrate on math, and they will probably get a C or a D in literature or that. Cities must be fairly good at everything. So everything that is worth for a city is important for us. Having said that, we in Barcelona have a vision. We have a mantra. We know where we are heading. No tomorrow, no in a political term. I sometimes say that my mayor is not going to see it. Neither will I see it. Because our vision is in 1 generation or 2 generations. And then, yes, there are something which is important. For instance, in Barcelona, our vision is we want to become an energetically autosufficient city, which you may smile at that, because today it's impossible. You need the energy from outside the city. And that's one of the problems of the cities. An important problem for the future of the cities is energy. So energy is basic for the long term. So we tend to go in that direction. We also want to be a city with 0 emissions, so environment is important for us. And we want to be a city where you can live and work in the same place. You don't have to move. We don't, in our model, people should be able to live and work in the city. So that it's about mobility also in transportation. And that's, say, the 3 main topics after which we are heading. But in the day-to-day, we have to be fairly intelligent in everything. So we have to get a B or probably an A in every aspect of the city. And if we get an A++, that's okay. But we don't believe in the model, the Frankenstein model that I say, of some companies that go all over the world and say, look at what we've done here, look at what we've done there. That's like a dating notebook where some womanizer says, look at my girlfriend here, look at my girlfriend. But I am the girlfriend. I mean, I want to be good at everything, not at just one thing.
You want to be unique. Questions? Okay, we are almost there. So thank you very much, and see you next year.
Good.